Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Glad you came back to No Time Like Joe time. But if this is your first time, maybe next time knock. That'd be great. Today, I've got a lovely guest for us all. Just a delight to talk to. She is the host of Stranger Connections podcast. She's a 3-time TEDx speaker. She has a new book out called From the Spotlight to Real Life Tips from the Stage to Reignite Teams and Spark Communication Skills. She was kind enough to send me a copy, and it was awesome. Lovely read. I'm not a big reader. I get confused on words like the, a, and but, because but makes me laugh. But this was a great read. I highly recommend it. It's in the show notes. So please welcome Lisa David Olson. Now, before we jump in, her and I, our opening bit is we both are improving what we think the podcast is about. So she has one idea, I have another. See if you can guess what we both think the podcast is about. And if you guess it, you will win a prize of absolutely nothing. All right, let's get into it. Hey, Lisa, I'm so glad you joined the episode. This is a very interested show, so glad you're here.
Thanks so much, Joe. I'm pretty busy, but you promised to keep it under 3 minutes, so I'm ready for that.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So, with that, I am so excited to cover this because, there's podcasts that do history, but not history like this.
Or her story, as we're about to find out.
Yeah, exactly. I never thought about that, but you're right. That probably includes it. I can only think how safety standards were way worse back then.
Well, and what with FDA approval and different labs. And look, now we can even have DNA results by the end of a commercial break. And so things have come a long way since this started.
Yeah, they've definitely come a long ways. I don't know how long these guys have been, digging for such stuff, but yeah, I guess, if it collapsed on them, I guess DNA would be really important.
Who looked at wolf spiders on a ceiling and then thought, I need that on my face?
Yeah. Well,
somebody did.
Well, these guys, when they jump into the business, they had to be prepared for some wild stuff. It's not easy getting gold.
There's just such a fine line between accidents and sheer genius.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Those managers back then probably had no problem sacrificing their workers' safety.
No, absolutely not. And that's why we have to have printing on, to-go cups. Coffee cups have special printing and warnings, and ladders, even coat hangers. Everything has to have a warning now because of those who came before us.
Yeah, exactly. And, I also like that, we'll see some representation of them, usually they sound a little Southern. I think Will Ferrell played one on SNL. I've do a character from my boys named Toothless Joe. They love it. So, yeah.
That's so nice. And that's the things that you'll be remembered for.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I'm just, I wish I could go back then and join the party and do the gold rush.
Oh, well, you still can. It's just that your neighbors won't talk to you anymore.
Oh, that's true. Well, they don't talk to me anyways. They're my parents. So, it makes sense.
It does make sense, actually. What a time saver on Father's Day cards.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Do you any idea what the other one's podcast ideas? I want to say something with forensics.
True. And yours, definitely we're going back in time, perhaps to the Old West ways.
Yep. 1800 prospector. Just my favorite random character to bust out.
Well, I thought it was supposed to be about eyelashes, and therefore that's why I said spiders on my face. And then I went into crime, and true crime podcasts is one of my greatest secret pleasures.
Nice. That's awesome. So this inspired by a great show, Whose Line Is It Anyways? Which you wonderfully picked. And a quick question for you, which is, what is your history with Whose Line Is It Anyway? Like, when did you start watching it? When did you get into it?
I've watched it as long as it's been on, and
Mhm.
it actually started as a British show, so I did not know
Ah,
that style, but just like The Office started as a British show.
hmm.
But I didn't watch it back then, but just my kids and I would always watch the improv, the prank show, and
Hmm.
Who's Line always. And I was lucky enough to see some of the players when they came to La Crosse, Wisconsin. I was
Oh,
able to see one of the shows. But my own experience is that for about 25 years, I've performed and own a comedy troupe, and we do improv games, much like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
yeah. Yeah. So I knew I was entering the big leagues when I suggested this.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, because the main improv, I have two main improv situations. One with my boys. I
Yes.
improv the heck out of them. And Toothless Joe really is a character with them. And I'll just, you got any gold? And they think it's hilarious. There's other characters. My favorite one, really quick, is there's a kids show called Blippy, and I
Mm.
created a character. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. I created a character named Bloopy, and he is from Russia, and he likes talking to the kids about communism. And then the Russian war started, and my oldest is in the car with me. He's like 6 or 7, and he goes, "Dad, I know you love Russia, but they are doing something not okay." And I'm like, "I don't love Russia. Please don't go tell everybody that I'm like a Russia simp." So yeah,
Meanwhile, the school principal is ordering a background check on you, and they've got cameras on your house, but that's okay. It's just a character, I swear.
yeah. And then the other one is I play D&D and I'm a DM, so I'm having to improv nonstop.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
so when did you kind of feel like you had a gift for improv?
I grew up in an alcoholic home. My mother
Mm,
was physically abusive to us
mhm,
and suffered mental illness that she was treating through
mhm,
alcohol. So with that, we found humor to be a great escape. I have three
mhm.
siblings, and we would keep each other light as much
Yeah,
as we could after the big storm. Every time there was a
yeah.
storm, we would put on shows for each other. We
Mhm,
had one of my parents' friends swore just nonstop cussing and like we had never heard before as kids.
mhm.
And so we called him Swearing Daryl, and we would be swearing Daryl and cussing behind our parents' backs and things like that that would just
Yeah,
imagination because, I'm almost
yeah,
60. We didn't have more than three channels. We didn't have internet and cell phones. So
yeah,
back then we had each other, and
yeah.
humor is an excellent distraction. It raises your endorphins, it lowers your blood
Mhm.
pressure, it's nature's serotonin. There is a health in why we're drawn to humor. We
Yeah,
could be at a bus stop and see something humorous and share that as strangers. Somebody rides a
yeah,
turtle down the street juggling colorful fruit, and we
yeah,
are going to be in that moment with full focus.
yeah.
Humor demands full focus. So when you're playing with your sons, you are giving them the gift of imagination,
Mhm.
freestyle play,
Yeah,
exploration. Because of your character, your son is now tapping into history
yeah.
and
It's
telling you headlines that may not have stuck, like, wait, Russia, dad does that.
yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of it. That's great. Yeah, I definitely also feel for me there's a control with humor. Like
Mm-hmm.
like the situation isn't owning me. I'm
Mm,
owning the situation, which I like.
true.
And you actually set this up perfectly. So I'll watch our first clip, and
I'll get my popcorn.
they tackle like something that's pretty heavy, but they turn it into humor. So they'll talk about what the prompt is from the hat, and we will watch.
For the show, we asked the audience to write some stuff down, suggestions for things they'd like to see, and we put a bunch of them in this hat, the good ones, not the crummy ones, and going to read them out and see how many of the performers can act out for us. Let's start with bad things to say to someone on their deathbed.
What are you gonna do with your stereo?
So when do you think Jane will be ready to date again?
It's me, Death.
Just kidding.
That is great. The first thing I thought of is, when you go to a funeral, it's rough, but then you go to, after everything, you go to the dinner or the lunch afterwards. And usually there's a lot of laughter there.
Yes.
And that kind of reminded me of that, where that and the other thing reminded me of, so on Full House, the three, Jesse, Danny, and Joey, the three main guys, they all lost a sister.
Mm.
And they had a dead sister club. And they would do humor about it. And so it was pretty tricky. So how are some other ways like humor has served you for the better?
It has connected me with people I wouldn't normally ever get to talk to. And as outgoing as I am, humor is that elixir that can connect two people that might not otherwise meet. But you have to know your room. You can't just go waka waka, I'm Toothless Joe, because it might be your wife's boss or something like that, where they kind of go, why'd you bring that guy? And you have to know the right timing of it. So it served me for connecting with others. It served me for, I'm a speaker. And so when I get to speak, I am often told, we need humor now more than ever.
Yes.
And that has been pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID. It is just a thing. We always need that moment. And when I get a whole room together and I'm able to do one of my interactive keynotes, the joy is the CEO is the same as the person who is repaving the parking lot when I give them something to do. And it's not always interactive because we don't always feel that.
Yeah.
So my guarantee is I don't scare the introverts, but yet I offer who would like to do this, who would like to do that.
Yeah.
By the end, we're all the same. And that's why in history, my sport of choice was always karate with my first husband and with my kids, because there's not one superstar. Sure, there's some guys that can kick to the ceiling, but overall, it's a team sport. There's no one to bench. There's no one to leave out, that kind of thing. Those things I've always been drawn to, where in karate, you wear generally the same type of suit, not one's not better than the next. That is what I crave in life. And that's the way I raise my boys. Yeah,
that's great. It sounds like kind of what I'm hearing, and it's kind of how I feel about humor, is I like how it can just bring everybody in.
Yes.
I like, especially I use humor a lot during awkward situations.
Yes.
Like I will often almost just announce it and be silly with it. Like the other day I was walking and I turned a corner and our director was in the office and I ran into a wall right by her.
Oh man.
And kind of kept walking. And I'm like, she probably saw that. And so I come back and I go, hey, did you see me run into that wall? And she goes, no. And I'm like, cool, because it didn't happen. And
let's roll that beautiful bean footage. They were back in their office running the cameras.
I wish. Actually, speaking of that, I fell at my in-laws and they had a camera and we watched that for like 10 minutes straight. Funniest thing ever. So
there's no way I'd watch it just once. You're right. It is on repeat loop. And then we're going to add music to it. And then we're going to add, all the things.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
And you're going to play that clip now?
Yes. Oh, right. Oh my gosh. I think I can. During editing, I might throw it in for y'all.
Okay.
It's great. I hope everybody enjoys it.
Hell yeah.
I did. Yeah. And I think humor, you were talking about, I appreciate you bringing up your upbringing and that challenges and about how humor brought you together. For me, that was me and my brother after my parents' divorce, which was horrifically ugly. And we were so funny like the next couple years after that. And people didn't understand it was because of how much grief and pain we were going through due to how my parents
Oh.
were treating each other.
Right. And you're stuck. There is a limit to using humor for healing. You have to know. I've had therapists and physicians say you don't have to always be funny. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, so you think I'm funny? That's what I heard. It's hard because
Yeah.
when do you shut it off? Somebody like me, I don't know how. I'm,
Right.
and I work with police during the day. I'm an
Oh, wow.
assistant and dispatch and all that good stuff. So
Yeah. Oh,
humor does help at that kind of
Yeah.
a job. You never know who's walking in,
yeah.
to report a crime or to
Yeah.
report a lost child, or we are animal control.
Yeah.
And I do prank the cops, and my husband regularly advises against it. But hey,
Yeah.
if I should go down for that, it's truly she died doing something she loved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. I
She
can
hid in a
relate.
locker for half
Yeah.
a day, but bless her heart, she died doing something she loved.
Worth it. I
Hashtag.
I work as a peer support specialist with people who are struggling with addiction
Oh,
and
fantastic.
stuff. So same thing. Like I use a lot of self-deprecating humor
Yes.
kind of help. And my goal is to make them feel a little like we're equals because they're so used to
Yes.
being like, the bottom of the barrel. And my goal is to use humor to be like, hey, look, I'm kind of poking fun of myself, making it sound like you are cooler than I am. And I want them to believe that to the road to recovery.
That's really fantastic.
Yeah. So it's been really good. And so we're kind of talking about, dealing with humor with kind of awkward situations. This leads us into the next clip where starts out very funny, but something completely awkward, crazy happens. But it also reminds me of parties because I'm slightly an introvert. So when I go to like parties, I'm like, ugh. And using humor has definitely helped. So here is this clip. It's a little bit on the longer side, I think 2 minutes, but it's great.
Come on in. We'll try the dip while you're down there. Come on in. Join my party. Come.
Thanks.
How's that? So I've got some roaches. It's not a problem. We'll keep...
This.
Welcome to my party. I'm so glad you can make it. Oh my God. They're fun.
Oh, jeez. Ah!
Okay, all right. All right. Okay.
I love that because it was something awkward that happened, and
Yeah,
now everybody is in on it.
exactly. There was no words
Yeah,
except for the welcome to the party.
yeah,
I mean, there was very few words, and we all saw what happened and even felt it.
yeah, exactly. And it's funny if you keep watching the clip, they reference this throughout the whole show. It just turns onto a life of its own. And one thing I love about this too, I feel like, are you a Conan O'Brien fan?
I don't know about fan, but
Okay.
yeah.
because some
Yeah.
of the things you're saying, you remind me of what he says, but him and Bill Hader, like when Bill Hader goes to his
Love Bill
house,
Hader.
yes, they just start doing improv. I was listening to him. Bill Hader came and he was just like, oh, it's 1800 and you shot me once and you stole my wife and family. Like, no, they didn't agree upon it. They just came and started doing it. And everybody talked about how it's just so much fun to be around these guys when this party's going on.
Right. The hard part is when you are a professional performer and you show up at a party, you can't just be a party guest. People want you to perform. Say that one funny thing. Remember that show you guys did 3 years ago?
Yes.
And you portrayed the 20-year-old mayor, and you feel like going, really, Frank, why don't you do my taxes? I know you're an accountant. You do my taxes quick. I got some punchlines for you, all right? Nobody likes Frank.
Right.
Sorry to bring that up. But it's also good to know, it's all about reading your room, but it's like using humor that way and connecting like you're doing with your kids.
Yeah.
I've done that forever with my kids. And I used to, my boys are 26 and 28.
Oh, nice.
And we'd go to the mall and I'd see somebody that I know and I'd say, and my kids always knew, it's all about trust. And I'd say, the guy in the red shirt, I know him, go up and ask him for $5. And I'd hide behind a pole, but I would never be gone. Yeah. And they go up, Mister, can I have $5? And, little tiny kids asking. And years later, we're talking decades later, and people still remember those little moments. But my boys also can hold a straight face and be a character. So you saying about playing with your kids is just brings me right back. You'll just never regret that.
Yeah, such a gift. One of the other people I had on the show, he has his own prop studio.
Wow, fun.
Yeah, he's worked with like Disney, Jimmy Fallon, and he talks about like just having 5 minutes a day to get creative. Be creative. And I do think, that's something, humor and creativity is something we desperately need.
Yes.
In this world.
Yes. And it's taking two unlikely ideas and putting them together. Yeah. We could do it right now. Give me an item, give me a noun, a person, place, or thing.
Okay, I'm going to go with Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, and I've got hair clips. We're going to put those together for a brand new idea. So we got Bigfoot, hair clips. What if we use these to put on his mouth so that he is within the noise ordinance at night? So we can still have him hanging around to lift the big things, reach the high shelf, but at night, we don't need that roaring. We don't need all that sound.
Yeah. So. That's brilliant. I love that. I'm going to do that with my kids. I'm going to do that with my kids. Two, I'm going to put that on their mouth at night. But then also do that exercise.
And there's no warning on here that you can't put this on kids' mouths. See? No warning.
That's the best part of it all. So I love humor and how just the power it brings to the world.
Absolutely. We all need it. And it definitely connects us, whether we speak the same language, whether we came from the same background, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just keeping it kind, keeping it clean, because anybody can go dirty.
Yeah.
Then where do you go? Once you've done all the Southern part jokes on stage, I get it. In clubs, I get it. I'm not against it. I'm not a prude. I just choose to go corporate clean because, for one, I get more gigs that way. For two, once you've offended somebody, you've lost them.
Yeah.
So it's better to keep it clean because it takes more to do that kind of comedy.
I totally
go to
agree.
the edge. Let that person take it dirty if they like it. Like the Shrek movie.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example. You got something else out of it. And your kids got something else out of it. That's my favorite example. Yeah,
I know. I always like to earn my laugh. And there's ever a time I don't feel like I did, I'd be like, it was too easy.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
The last living room got my set. What's your problem?
It is. So I do a speed round, 3 questions for somebody.
Ooh. Boom.
So first question is, which clip did you think was funnier?
The second one, because of the physical. I'm way into physical humor.
Yeah. I I like the first one. I don't know why this hit me so hard, but the third one, which was, when do you think Lisa's going to be ready to date again? I don't know why
that was good.
Laid me.
It was good.
The second question is, which clip did you find more meaning in?
The first one, because it was so, you could feel the awkward.
Mhm.
Because especially in death, you got to say the right thing. Thoughts and prayers.
Yes.
Really? How about you donate to charity? I don't need your thoughts and prayers. Too late for
Right.
that. He's dead. So
Yeah.
we all feel that awkwardness of, what do we say? So it's like, can I have your stereo? We're getting somewhere. Somebody's got to have it.
Right.
Let's get things done.
And then the third question is, if we had to do a deep dive, take one of these clips, just overanalyze it, which clip would you take?
The second one, and overanalyze the fact that Wayne Brady grabbed someone out of the audience innocently. He put hands on a person. Immediately, I thought of that. He picked her up. How do we know that she's not wearing a medical device? I mean, this is the stuff from running shows for 2 decades. Safety is everything to me. And I'm teased nonstop by I have a cast of 7, and I'm teased nonstop for being over the top safety. So I was thinking, he picked her up. You don't know she wasn't wearing a device or whatever, or had just suffered a broken rib, which I've had. Yeah. Then the whole thing about her dress was up. She took it like a champ, and all that. So, and maybe she didn't want to be on TV. Maybe she's wanted. Maybe her ex stalks her. I mean, you could go 1,000 ways with that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I was planning on the second one either way, but that just even more cements why that would be such a good one to touch on.
Joe, you ever need something overthought, I'm your woman.
Excellent. I'm right there with you. Yes. So what I want to do now is I want to give you a little bit of time. I know you're doing a lot of cool things. Where people can find you, what you're doing, and anything close to your heart.
Lisa David Olson on Facebook, my website. Just Google me, baby. My podcast is called Stranger Connections. I end every episode with a prank or dare story. Duh. Pretty obvious after everything I've said. And I am a keynote speaker. I'm a 3-time TEDx speaker, and I love to help other people get to the stage. Other than that, I'm going to be meeting with a guy online because he's going to start an improv troupe. So not everything I do is 1, 2, 3. I'm all over the place. I love to paint and listen to crime. And by day, I support police officers in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is great. One thing I love so much about doing this podcast is the human connection. Like when an episode blows up, yeah, awesome. But if I'm only using people to that means, I'm missing something so important. And when I listen to podcasts, I'm always like, well, how real is that person?
Right.
And I feel like it took 6 seconds with you to be like, oh no, this is who Lisa is. and like just a genuinely happy, funny, caring person.
Well, thank you.
And so it always means a lot when somebody who's just doing really cool things, I always say, sinks to my level and comes on here.
You're a silly head is what you are. You know what I want to do?
Sure.
You message me your address, and I promise I won't put it out there, but I will send you a copy of my newest book that actually has improv in it.
Oh,
it's all about speaking and what I learned from the stage. And it's also got a quiz in there to find out if you're funny.
Oh,
so you send me your address, I'll send you a book.
I will. Thank you so much. We'll put it in the show notes, all that, where to find the book, everything like that. Please check it out. World needs more humor, and you are giving that to us.
As are you. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. In the future, I'd love to have you back. And